You've got maybe one or two close people. Everyone else keeps you at arm's length. You're not invited to group hangouts. Your phone's quiet on weekends. And people keep telling you that's a problem, that you need more friends, a bigger circle, a louder life. But what if having few friends isn't a deficit? What if it's actually a sign of something most people don't have? Depth over breadth, quality over quantity, and a nervous system that refuses to settle for surface-level connection. And before we continue, tell me something in the comments. Do you prefer a few deep friendships or many casual ones? I'm really curious to see how people here think about connection. Here's what nobody tells you. If you have few or no friends, that doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're unlikable. It means your brain requires something different from relationships than most people do. And that's not a flaw. That might actually be your superpower. Because here's the thing about having few friends. It's not usually about being unable to make friends. It's about being unwilling to maintain friendships that feel hollow. Most people collect friendships. They keep people around for convenience, for socializing, for filling time. But you can't do that. Small talk exhausts you. Surface-level connections feel like work. You'd rather be alone than pretend to care about conversations that go nowhere. So you filter hard. You're looking for people who match your intensity, your depth, your need for real conversation. And most people don't pass that filter. Not because they're bad people, but because they're not your people. This isn't pickiness, it's protection. Your nervous system learned early that shallow connections drain you, so you stopped collecting them. People with few friends also tend to share something else. They're not willing to perform for approval. Most friendships are built on mutual performance. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You go to events you don't want to attend. You water yourself down to fit into group dynamics. And for most people, that's fine. That's just how friendships work. But for you, that feels unbearable. You can't keep up the mask. You can't fake interest. You can't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. If this is already sounding like you, take a second and leave a like on the video. It helps more people who feel this way find this message too. Why so you end up alone? Not because you're incapable of social skills, but because you refuse to use them inauthentically. And most friendships require some level of performance to survive. There's also something about energy that matters here. Every friendship is an energy exchange. You give attention, time, emotional labor, and you receive the same back. But for people with few friends, that exchange has to be balanced. You can't pour into people who don't pour back. However, you notice when friendships are one-sided, when you're always initiating, always listening, always supporting, and you walk away, not because you're cold, but because you know your energy is finite, and you're not wasting it on people who don't value it. This makes you seem distant to people who are used to taking more than they give. But to the right people, the ones who match your energy, you're the most loyal person they'll ever meet. But here's what people completely miss about having few friends. It's not loneliness, it's sovereignty. Most people need constant social validation. They need to be liked, included, invited. They need their worth reflected back through other people's approval. But people with few friends, they've developed something rare, internal validation. They don't need a big social circle to feel worthy. They don't need constant connection to feel secure. You're comfortable in your own company. Telling you don't need people to validate your choices. You don't need friends to prove you're interesting. You know who you are without external confirmation, and that terrifies people who've built their entire identity on being liked. Because you're proof that you can exist fully without needing everyone's approval. And that's a superpower most people never develop. You also tend to see things other people miss. You notice when people are performing, when they're being fake, when they're hiding behind social masks. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending those friendships are real. So you pull away, not because you're judging them, but because you can't engage with inauthenticity once you've recognized it. This makes you seem difficult, picky, hard to please, but really you just have a low tolerance for bullshit. And most social dynamics are built on polite bullshit. Here's the psychological reality. Some brains are wired for depth, and not breadth. Extroverts recharge through many shallow connections. They thrive in groups. They collect friendships like stamps, and that works for them. But you You're wired differently. You recharge through a few deep connections. You thrive in one-on-one conversations that go for hours. You need intensity, vulnerability, realness. And you can't split that across 20 people. You can only offer it to a select few. So your circle stays small. Not because you're incapable of more, but because more would dilute what you actually value. Because here's what having few friends actually reveals about you. You regulate through depth, not distraction. While other people numb loneliness with constant socializing, you sit with it, you process it, you transform it into self-awareness, and that's uncomfortable. It's harder, but it also means you know yourself better than most people ever will. Because you're not running from solitude, you're using it to build something solid inside yourself. And this changes as you get older. In your 20s, having few friends feels like failure. Everyone else has friend groups, group chats, weekend plans, and you're home alone wondering what's wrong with you. But by your 30s, you realize nothing was ever wrong. You were just built differently. You don't need 20 surface-level friends. You need 2 real ones. And once you find them, when you stop apologizing for the small circle, you realize that loneliness isn't about the number of people around you. It's about the quality of connection, and you'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't actually know you. So if you have few or no friends, stop treating it like a problem that needs fixing. Maybe you're not bad at making friends. Maybe you're just good at recognizing which connections are worth your energy. Maybe you're not lonely. Maybe you're just selective. And maybe that small circle isn't a sign of failure. Maybe it's a sign that you value depth over performance, authenticity over approval, real connection over convenient distraction. You're not missing out. You're protecting something most people give away too easily. Your energy, your authenticity, your standards. And there's nothing broken about refusing to settle for less than real. If this video helped you see your social life in a different way, subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about psychology, human behavior, and the deeper reasons behind why some people simply don't fit the social mold. New videos every week.